This has been one of those crazy days. Everybody called me today. I have no idea why so many people called me. I have no idea. It's like, why are all these people calling me? You're one of those days you can't be productive and get anything done. This is what one of those days what it seems like. I made a video yesterday about some YouTube photographers that I recommended. And I told one of the guys, I think it was Thomas Heaton, isn't his name? Mr. Heaton. I told him via YouTube, I was like, I'm going to make a video about you. I said, it's going to be nothing but praiseworthy. And he said something like he was stressing out. He said his stomach was churning over what I was going to say because I always like make rants. And he's right about that. But I mean, I told him that I was going to be very praiseworthy of him and his work because he's a real photographer, unlike the rest of these Kardashian types that are gear pimps. And, I'm not that bad. I mean, God forbid. This has nothing to do with him saying that. I mean, I understand that. It's like, the guy that's always ranting about stuff is going to make a video about me, meaning him. And I could see why his stomach would be churning. I said it was going to be nothing but, God forbid. I mean, and I never have, and it's not going to happen. If somebody's real and true, and homie's pretty smart. Darren Miles, Ted Vieira, the Heaton guy, and Zed Pro Media. There's a list, of course, of these people that I was naming the past 48 hours that are real photography channels. I got nothing but respect for them because they're real people. I don't think I've ever given lip to anybody like that. Maybe, I know I do a lot of rant. I don't do that many rants. Maybe I used to do a lot more rants than I used to, but no, man, I mean, somebody that's even halfway true like that, I mean, I'm not going to rant against that. I mean, like Zach Arias or Mr. Heaton, the landscape photographer, or, Mr. Perry, the guy that's actually, he's dragging his crotch through the mud, with the camera and, in close proximity to grizzly bears. And, that's the guy, subscribe to him. Buy his calendar. It's the end of the year. I think he's got a calendar every year of his wildlife photography. If you want to give a buck, buy the dude's calendar. Steve Perry. He's an awesome, normal, cool dude. None of these people probably like me, but I mean, that's not the point. I support anybody as long as they're real and genuine, even if they can't stand me. I have no indication any of them do, but I'm sure some of them probably do. But I don't care. I support anybody that's real. I'm not going to rant, or I'm not going to rant, or I don't think I ever have ranted against any real people. And when I say real, I mean real, like the people that I've mentioned the past 48 hours. So nobody like that is, I'm nobody. I'm actually just saying, hey, go watch their channels. These are the real people. Stop watching the Kardashians, You know who I'm talking about? These 4 or 5, 6 people that are the Kardashians, sniffing gear and, measure baiting, the X factor of the crop factor times the DxO mark equals the boop, 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 beep, boop, boop. We got 10 virtual megapixels, so give me a break with that crap, will ya? I actually love math and arithmetic specifically. Actually, the Greeks knew the difference between math and arithmetic. However, in English language, we don't actually differentiate the two. No. So those guys are real. I mean, I give all support to those folks. So I was kind of shocked, but I guess I shouldn't have been shocked when the guy says, "Well, you said you're gonna make a video about me." And he said his stomach was churning. I was like, man, I said I was gonna say nothing but high praise. You sitting out there like camping out for 6 hours for the perfect. I'm getting old. I can't do that crap anymore. Well, I could, but I'm a bit lazy. Perching out there for 6 hours in the rain underneath the tent, waiting for the perfect shot when the sun comes over the mountain. Those are the guys that are the real. I got nothing but respect and support for those people. I think maybe people have seen too much of me ranting against the gear pimps and the Kardashian photographers. So I have got all the support in the world for people like that. So, If I were to rant against people like that, then I would be an asshole, a jerk, a schmuck, a dildo, and a prick. You know, I would be. I would be. You're agreeing with me because you know I'm right. I'd be an asshole, a schmuck, a dildo, a prick, and a dumbass. I would never rant against people like that. No, not against real people. No, no. We're not talking about used car sales when we're talking about real dudes out there humping it, you know, like with their gear, you know, one foot one foot perched on a slippery log and another perched on the other bank of the creek with flowing waters. You got a tripod. You know, that's the real deal. You know? You know I'm talking about. You know I'm right. You don't have to agree with me or me as a person, but you know I'm right about that, so I ramble on, right? Blah, blah, blah. Now someone's going to say, you could have said that in 5 minutes. Instead, it took you 10 minutes to say that. Someone's going to say that. Whatever. All right? Bye. Happy holidays. All that crap.